Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. I wouldn't endorse Donald Trump, even though my big deal is anti-war, and he promised to end the Ukraine war, and he was the biggest non-interventionist president of my lifetime. But what I would say, and I'm happy to be proven correct, that if you vote for Harris, you know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to keep doing whatever Benjamin Netanyahu wants to until all the people are wiped out in Gaza. And but if you vote for Trump, there's at least hope, right? I don't have faith, but I have hope. And I even said that, I can't endorse him because of his rhetoric, because he's sounding like a crazy Zionist. But I was saying, there's a chance that what he's doing is being so over the top in his rhetoric that he's creating space for himself to come in and impose a deal. And he likes to impose deals and then take credit for them. And that's exactly, I cannot, I'm glad to pat myself on the back for it. And the reason why I tell people I got this right is because I'm the only fucking one who will. And so, but I did get this right. And how surprised were you that even before he took office, Trump got a peace deal done in Gaza? Did you expect it?
I wasn't surprised. Didn't expect it. I wasn't surprised because it wasn't going to happen under Biden. I can go into like the details, but just to be as basic as possible, Biden didn't ever exercise any leverage that the U.S. had, and the U.S. has all the leverage over Israel. And he wouldn't do it. And Netanyahu knew it. So whenever Biden would do something, it would be like to leak a statement calling Netanyahu an asshole to the international, to like the New York Times.
Yes.
But Biden couldn't even say that himself. Now he's like speaking out more. And Netanyahu also knew that like Tony Blinken wouldn't do it. That he just knew that he could get away with murder again and again. And he knew that they wanted him to attack Lebanon, destroy Hezbollah, destroy the Syrian government, allowing Al-Qaeda to rampage around the country, and to weaken Iran as much as possible. The U.S. saw him as an instrument of chaos and destruction to bring in what Condoleezza Rice back in 2006 called the birth pangs of a new Middle East, or like Katie Halper, I remember, had a joke at the time that it was actually the episiotomy of a new Middle East. And so it took Trump coming into office for this to happen for two basic reasons. One, Trump's unpredictable, and Netanyahu actually feared pissing him off. And Trump's, as reported in Haaretz, the Israeli paper, Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, actually screamed at Netanyahu and said, I'm not going to let you do Shabbat and ignore us. You're coming right now to negotiate this ceasefire deal. And Netanyahu did it. That's what should have been happening with the Biden administration, what could have been happening. Didn't. And the second reason is Netanyahu wanted to give Trump the win over Biden because he prefers Trump to Biden. He personally gets along with Trump. They have the same donor, Miriam Adelson. And he thinks that he can get things out of Trump that are top priorities for him in 2025 that don't have to do with Gaza, specifically the West Bank. He wants to ramp up colonization of the West Bank and crush resistance in the northern West Bank. And I think Trump will give that to him. Trump's people, like, look at his UN ambassador, Elise Stefanik. Just look at her Twitter feed. She's a member of Congress, and she doesn't even talk about her constituents. All she talks about is Israel. Her constituency is Israel. She is like the embodiment of Zionist-occupied government. She's the UN ambassador. Mike Huckabee is Trump's ambassador to Israel. He's a fanatical Christian Zionist who sees Jerusalem as the future landing pad for Jesus. And the ingathering of Jews to the land and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians is a necessary prerequisite for Jesus's return. He doesn't even believe there's a West Bank. He said that. So you have all these figures that really just ideologically believe in the settlement movement, the religious nationalist fanatics in Israel. And, Trump in some ways is a counterweight to their ambitions because I don't think he wants war with Iran. It would screw up a lot of his other plans. So we're going to see a ceasefire be signed on Monday, and there's 3 phases. The first phase is for a prisoner exchange and captives being exchanged. I think that'll go through. But then the second and third phases require Israeli troop withdrawals from Gaza and other painful moves Israel has to make. And the Trump administration's incoming national security director, Mike Waltz, has said that the Israelis have all the latitude they want to be able to go back into Gaza. And I think that the ceasefire could collapse in phase 2 and 3. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's definitely a positive development. And to have at least a ceasefire deal, the Biden administration didn't want it. And everyone who argued from the liberal left that Trump was absolutely going to be so much worse and make Gaza so much worse, they just look like complete idiots right now, to the point where they're just lying about what they said, like specifically Mehdi Hassan, just lying about their own record. And, I didn't fall for it. People who voted for Jill Stein as a protest, they didn't fall for it. And certainly Kamala deserved to lose for endorsing this policy.
100%. And that's what I was telling people. You have to make the Democrat Party and you have to make Kamala Harris pay a price for funding a genocide and not promising to end it. You have to make them pay a price. And
you have to make, that was part of the intervention, the humanitarian intervention. Sorry to interrupt, but at the State Department that we did, was ruining Blinken's last day is part of exacting a price so that they won't do this again, because it really does consolidate his legacy when he is portrayed as the Secretary of Genocide, correctly portrayed as that. Like, we consolidated his real role, and all the coverage of it around the world, but including on NPR, CNN, MSNBC, Reuters, the New York Post, all the coverage was Blinken interrupted over the Gaza policy. There was no coverage of anything Blinken said. No one cared. So if you you had a protest vote against Kamala Harris, I think that's part of a righteous act of protest, and it's the only way we're going to get change on this policy.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com.